Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of M.E.R, Men's Equal Rights. We're glad you joined us today and we'd like to say happy Women's Month. We celebrate women on this show. We appreciate all the great accomplishments women have made to our society. And we thank you for joining Men's Equal Rights tonight. We have a great show ahead of you with a very special guest, and today we will be covering parenting across state lines. When you move to another state as a parent, how does it affect you legally? How does it affect your children? And how does it affect you and your life emotionally? Before we get started, I'd like to bring on our panelists, the one and only Mr. John Rockmore. John, hey, how are you?
How are you, Mr. Lionel? I've missed you, my brother. I had to go and take care of some things, but God bless, I'm back and happy and ready to get right after it with our great and wonderful guest. So it's good to see you, Mr. Lionel.
Well, great to have you back, John. Have you seen the kids? Have you talked to them?
I've done some FaceTime with the grandkids and two of my daughters, so things are coming along.
Okay, that's what we want to hear. And to my children, if they're tuning in, know that your father loves you and you have never been fatherless. I am always right here waiting to hear from you at any moment or any time of the day or night. Without any further ado, I'd like to bring on our very special guest. He's a comedian, a producer, a writer, and just an all-around host in Hollywood, as well as an actor. We'd like to bring to the M.E.R Forum a good friend of mine and colleague, a little brother to me in this business. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the forum, Trey Elliot, the one and only.
Trey. How you guys doing? What's happening, big bro?
Good to see you, man. It's been a minute with this pandemic and everything, you know. You doing all right?
I've been doing good, man. I've been doing good, maintaining and keeping strong mentally, you know what I mean? Staying healthy and staying creative, you know.
Absolutely. So tell the people, first of all, Trey, so that they can get to know you. Tell them where you're from and a little bit about you as far as coming into entertainment in LA and all of that.
Well, I was born and raised in New Jersey, in between two towns, Plainfield and Edison, New Jersey. So that's where I was born and raised, man. You know, I grew up with very close with my family. I have an older sister, 3 years older. My mom and my dad actually divorced when I was about 3, and then my dad moved to North Carolina to where he was from. So, you know, so I kind of grew up with the whole, you know, divorce thing. So it was me, my mom, and my sister, my grandmother, you know, close knit. Then my mom got remarried, I think back in like '89. So then, you know, I had the step family situation going on. But yeah, man, born and raised in Jersey, and you know, had a good, pretty dope childhood, man. Can't really complain. Once you know, I graduated, I ended up moving to Atlanta. I went to college, Clark Atlanta University, studied television, film, mass comm major. So yeah, so I was in Atlanta for 6 years, and Atlanta is where I kind of took my interest in wanting to do comedy.
Okay.
So, yeah, so like all through high school, you know, middle school, high school, I was into theater. So I did the theater. I played sport. I was the only Black kid that did sports and theater and drama. You know,
what sport did you do?
Football and basketball. So I was, yeah, during my high school years, I was wide receiver and free safety. You know what I mean? Through my varsity years, man, and then basketball. You know, I was a small forward or the 2 or the 3 guard. You know, depending. And yeah, man. So between the sports and the drama, the theater, that kept me very active, man. Actually kept me, you know, out of trouble and stuff, man. And you know, in school. So.
And so you came to Hollywood to make your mark, and you've been doing very well. I've been watching you from the very beginning. You know, I always embrace all of my younger brothers when they come to town, and if you need work and I got it, I'm definitely putting it on your table, man. You know that.
Yeah, you was definitely one of the very pivotal people, you know, in helping me out when I first moved to LA. Which was in 2009, and I remember you used to have host the night with the music, and it was a popping night. And I remember I came early, and I waited for about 2 hours, man. And you put me on stage, and you know you never had a problem with booking me and put me on stage, man, and just kind of just helping me out to make sure I was able to hone my craft. You know, I've been doing comedy since 2002. So when I came out here, you know, I wasn't necessarily new to comedy. I was about 8 years in, but I was new to LA. So, you know, moving to LA is kind of like starting over in a sense, because don't nobody know you. And yeah, man, you always put me on. I remember and the thing about you definitely big bro, because, you know, I could rip, and then it'd be the nights where I stink it up or bomb, and I see you over there in the corner cracking up. And then you'll get on stage and be like, comedy ain't bad.
Yeah. You get roasted. Yeah. That's what J. Anthony Brown and Bernie Mac did to me, man, you know, and it's a brotherhood. And I knew you had the gift when I first met you. So I was like, I know he's going to be excellent at what he does. But what I didn't know, Trey, is that you had a son.
Yeah.
That you were a father. I didn't know about that, man. And so you were here working, but your son was where?
So here's how the backstory. So my son was born in Atlanta. So when I was in college, I met his mom, and you know, freshman year in college, our dorms was right connected to each other. So me being the man that I am, sneak over every chance I could get. And so we had my son my sophomore year in college. And so he was born in Atlanta. And so then what happened was, once his mom graduated, I kept him with me in Atlanta for about, what we did, I kept him with me and my roommate. So it was 5 guys and a baby for 6 months. And then, then she moved to Maryland after she graduated. So she said, hey, I need to go to Maryland and try to get, you know, she had some family there. She's like, I got to try to get established and figure some things out. So Bryce is going to stay with you. I was like, really? All right, cool.
You were out of college at that time?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I was just working at UPS at night. So I had him and my 5 roommates, which were my closest homeboys. And you know, he was there with me, and I had him for like 6 months, and then I would meet her halfway, and then she would have him for like 6 months. And we did that like twice. And then after that, I ended up moving to Maryland. You know, I was just like, I'm just going to move to Maryland. And then, and once I moved to Maryland, you know, we was a family. We was a family in Atlanta. And then when she moved to Maryland, then we established that family situation once again. And everyday parent, man, taking them to school every day. Coached this football team, coached this basketball team. We just, you know, everyday parenting, man. And
so you and her were getting along fine. I'm tripping on the 5 guys situation while she was in Maryland. So the brothers chipped in and was helping. They didn't have no problem with changing diapers and watching the baby.
Oh, nah, they didn't. And luckily, it was a blessing because one of my roommates' mom came to Atlanta from Buffalo, New York to come to Atlanta for his graduation. And when she came, she never left. So we had a mom in our house as well after a while. And
Wow.
she was very pivotal, man. I would just always would end up being in blessed situations. And then I had a neighbor who had a neighbor. It was a wife, husband, a whole family. And she was very close to us. And you know, when you have a baby, women always like, give me that baby, boy. You don't know, let me get that's how you know what I mean? So she was, you know, so I had in between my roommates, I had so much help to where it was just God was just knew what he was doing. And so then I did that for Atlanta and in Atlanta. And then eventually I was like, all right, things was kind of rough in the A and I needed a change. So I said, I called her, I said, look, we'll make it work. I'll move to Maryland. And then that's when, you know, we began parenting once again together. And
were you two a couple?
Yeah, we were. Now, it was a rocky couple because, you know, we wasn't, I mean, we was together, but you know, we young. So, and we just not getting along like I would want to get along with someone, but we were we were dope at co-parenting. We like, you know, we were a couple, but we was just beefing and just couldn't get it together because, you know, we're young and it just wasn't working out. So eventually we end up breaking up for good. I get my place. She's still in her place and everything is still cool at this time. You know,
at this time, you're in the same state. You get your place there in Maryland. She has hers.
Yeah.
And you're still parenting together.
Still parenting together. I pick them up, take them to school every day, you know, and if, you know, she might pick them up, I might pick them up, just depending on our work schedules. And like I said, I was still coach's football team, coach's basketball team. So eventually I'm in Maryland at this point in time, still doing my comedy hardcore. And I was like, okay, I got to a point to where I felt like I needed to take my career to another level. And so then that's when I made my decision to move to California. And at this point in time, I wasn't a couple anymore. I had another girlfriend and everything. And
she knew about the other girlfriend.
She knew about the other girlfriend.
So you had a great understanding between one another as far as we're not together. I got my thing over here, you got yours, but we're still parents. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have no issues. And then besides our regular beef, but it wasn't beef with this girl, that girl. Nah, everything was just cool. You know, we were still parenting.
There were no issues over the child whatsoever.
Nope.
Okay.
I have no issues.
What happened?
I moved to California.
Oh, okay. So you told her I'm moving to Cali.
And that's when things just, you know, kind of got a little difficult. You know, she didn't want me to move. You know, I mean, I was such an everyday impact. You know, she just didn't want me to move. But I prepared not only did I prepare my son for a good year that I was going to be moving because I had it in the plans. I told her eventually that that's what I was going to do.
How old was he at the time?
He was 10.
Okay.
He was 10. So I would take him to school every day and I have a conversation with him every day about me moving, and especially when I kind of knew it was going to be official. But for a year, I prepped him in them rides. Like, you know, eventually Dad's going to have to move to the West Coast, you know, because I'm doing comedy. And, you know, I would take him to like my theater plays. I would expose him to some clean shows or certain things I would do just so he could visually see what Dad was doing. And I ain't gonna lie, it was the hardest, to this day, it was the hardest decision I've had to make in my life. Moving and leaving him physically, you know, but you know, so you know, man, when you're in this biz, EL, you know, there's things, big sacrifices you have to make, man, and that was my big sacrifice. But I told her, I said, look, I'm gonna not be here every day, but I'm still here. You know what I mean? So whatever you need, I'm still here. And so once I moved, you know, it was whatever. But then that's when I got the child support papers in the mail.
So how soon after you got to LA, you moved, you said, I'm about to start my career in LA. How soon did you just out of nowhere receive court papers?
I moved in October of 2009. I got child support papers March of 2010.
Okay.
March of 2010. So, you know, at this point in time, she was accusing me of not paying anything. So I had to keep receipts and keep my checkbook to say, why would you?
Wait a minute, Trey. Wait a minute. So you're saying that when you moved out of state, all of a sudden, this good father that you were is completely erased?
Completely erased. Like, I wasn't an everyday father. She would never want to acknowledge that at that point in time. It was just like I wasn't never there, or I was not there. And I was like, so it was like I didn't pay anything, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So I was just like, wait a minute, where's all this coming from? This is where the bitterness started happening.
And you're the same guy that you were before you left. Y'all were parenting great together. Y'all didn't have any issues. Did she talk to you and say, I'm going to get the courts involved, or did she surprise you with that?
She surprised me. She surprised me with it.
Wow. And so they're taking money out of yours. You never went to court for custody of your child?
Never went to court. We never went to court ever. So in Maryland, even when we broke up, we never dealt with court or custody, anything. I would have him whenever. If he felt like staying with me, she was staying with me. If you want to stay with her, you stay with her. Like, if I had to do a show that night, he would stay with her. But like, so we just had that arrangement because we was only lived like 12 to 15 minutes apart from each other. So, we didn't have no court battle or custody, anything like that. It was just, this is how,
So you had automatic 50-50 custody arrangement between you and her just by, we're both parents and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah,
and you had no issues with that.
Yeah, if I had to pick him up from school, from his after school care, he used to take karate after class, depending so if I work late. So if I got off work at like 5:30, I just pick him up, feed him, he'd stay at my crib. And if she had to pick him up, she'd stay at his crib. And if the weekends, if I perform, so we just had that depending on whoever's schedule. Or then at this time, he can talk. I want to stay with dad tonight. I stay with mom. So it all was working out great at that time.
No issues.
No issues.
You get to LA.
And then all of a sudden, it was just like I wasn't this parent that coached this football team, basketball team, and pick them up every day. And there I was karate stuff. And, I just wasn't this everyday parent. All of that was eradicated. And I was like, come on, man. Like, you wanted to mentally tell yourself this in order for you to just, I don't know, was it a coping mechanism? Because I realized some people lie to themselves to make something the truth that it ain't for whatever reason. I don't know if that was just a way of missing me or missing not being around and missing me and missing the impact that I had on the day-to-day. But, I was just like, why would you want to do that? And even when my first year, I was flying out there, fly out there for the birthday, fly out there for this, fly out there, so I was still coming out, So then
at this time, there was no custody arrangement, no visitation arrangement through the courts or anything.
I didn't have to deal with none of that. The only thing I dealt with the courts was the child, and I didn't even have to deal with the courts. I just dealt with child support. So basically all I got a letter in the mail saying you have to go to this location, which was like in Commerce, California, to the child support, whatever. They looked at my income and they based what I had to pay off my income. Now, this isn't how, when you got a good heart and a good person, things always kind of still work out for you sometimes. So with me, at this time, I was on unemployment, because I had just got fired from my job that I was making pretty good money from. I got fired in February of 2010. Okay. So the only thing the course was able to do was look at what I was getting off of unemployment, and they based my child support off of that. Prior to that, I was giving her more money. Once child support told me what I had to pay, it was damn near half of what I would issue. So technically, I really don't have to give you nothing else.
Right.
I was like, you want to go to court? This is all I got to pay you. I don't have to give you nothing else. you know.
And that, that happens to a lot of women. They think when they go to the system, they're going to do us bad, and they end up doing themselves and the child bad.
And do us a favor.
And do us a favor, because we're already being a great father and doing the best, going over, above, and beyond the call of duty as a father who loves their children. And that's what it sounds like you were doing. It sounds like y'all had a great arrangement. But once you moved to another state, then parenting became difficult for you, and being a father became difficult for you. So did the time with your child, did she start giving you problems now seeing your son?
So this is what she would do. Like if if I would come fly out there, she would, just make it some things hard. Like I say, hey, I'll be there, leave the key. So once I get there, I could get in the house and, and I'll pick Bryce or whatever. She wouldn't leave the key. She would purposely do things, little petty stuff like not give me access to certain things to make my trip easier. You know what I mean? Because at this time, we still struggling. So I might fly standby. So I'm like, hey,
Right.
And so she would just make things like a little difficult, like not easy, not like, oh, okay, you'll get here at 7:00. Perfect. Well, Bryce, we'll have this situation, boom. So all you got to do is blah, blah. No, it was always difficult. Well, I'm not getting off to then. I'm not going to do that, or I ain't going to take him there. Just trying to make it extra difficult for me once I would get in town. I remember one particular time she was making it so difficult. I said, you know what? I'm just going to fly back. I'm just going to go back to the airport because I'm on a buddy pass. I can go back anytime. So literally, I was like, you're going to make it difficult for me to I flew into town to spend some time with my kid and do whatever. You're making it difficult. I'm going back to the airport. And once I said that, she was like, no, then she kind of straightened up. But I had to threaten her, you know what I mean?
Wow.
In order just for her to cooperate so I could spend some quality time with my son when I would fly in. So, so then throughout the year, she would just make it difficult. He need this, he need that. And just, it was always just calling me with beef or texting me with beef and just, I'm going to court for this, I'm going to court for that. So she was always threatening me with court, holding court over my head. And I would always say, well, go if that's what you want to do, go. So then she meets somebody. She meets she meets somebody who's now her husband, but at this point in time, they were dating.
Okay.
I said, okay, so look. And she told me, she said, I'm dating somebody, cool. And at the time, throughout the years, she ended up getting engaged. She called, I got engaged, cool. I need to let me talk to this person, establish some kind of relationship with him, since he's around my child. And at this time, Bryce is a teenager.
Okay.
So she did not want that to happen. She would not let me talk to her fiance, who was then her fiance at that time.
And what was her reason?
She didn't have a reason. So I flew to Maryland to meet him, to have a conversation. I then spent some time with Bryce. I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. All right, cool. I'll meet your fiance. We can sit down and have a talk and talk about whatever, because I knew that him and my son wasn't really getting along. So I came just man to man, talk and see what was going on and see how we could, make sure everybody having a happy home, whatever.
Right.
She did not happen. That did not happen. When I flew there, she did not set it up, nothing. And I didn't see him. I didn't even see her. So I just saw, Bryce. Bryce would come outside or meet me, whatever. So before I left, I said, Bryce, give me his number so I can call him. So I flew back to Cali and I called him. And when I called him, he was like, who is this? He was like, who is this? I said, hey, man, how you doing? This is Trey, Bryce's dad. And it got quiet. And then the next thing was, how did you get my number?
Wow.
And I was like, that's not important. I was like, I'm calling you just man to man. So I know you're around my son. You're going to be a stepdad, which is all well and good. I want to call so we can have some conversation and make sure that everybody's good in everybody's part. Or if you have any issues with him, you can feel free to call me so we can get everything settled. You know, he's a teenager. I grew up with a stepfather. You didn't. His mom didn't. So I kind of understand where he is and how he's feeling. So let's, you know, be grown men and, you know, anything. Mm-hmm. I don't really have anything to say to you. So he wasn't open.
That was probably her prejudicing his mind against you for whatever selfish reason she was doing. With that said, I would first like to say that, Trey, I commend you for being an excellent father and an excellent man. So far, you've done all of the correct things, which would be no reason for you to have problems seeing your son or being a father to your son. Why this woman was making it difficult is beyond all of us.
Right.
Only she has the true answers to that. And you said something, you said, well, she started going, well, he need this, he need that. This is something that happened to my little brother in Chicago. He got custody of his son after a while. But before, the mother lived in Florida with custody of the son, and he needed this, he needed that, he needed this. Then when he got custody of his son, she wasn't sending nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I've dealt with that too.
All of a sudden, he don't need to go to basketball. It ain't $600 for basketball no more.
Yes.
It's not, he don't need these things in school. It's like, what is going on with this one-sidedness in mistreating good fathers? He said to this day, she hasn't contributed anything. And in addition to that, I have a friend that has custody of his children and still pays child support to the mother who lives in another state, and the kids live with him.
Well, that's crazy. And you know, that's the same thing that I was going through. I was like, when I would have him, even when I had him by myself in Atlanta, nothing was never sent to me. It's like she wouldn't send me anything. I was stealing diapers. I would have my diaper bag. I'd be in Kroger's stealing, stuffing, opening up diapers, stuffing them in the diaper bag. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I was, you know, and she wouldn't send me nothing. But then when she would have it, I need that. And she never sent me anything during you know, my times. And I was like, I guess you don't need nothing. You know, so I dealt with that too. I dealt with that too.
Wow.
And,
well,
yeah, so it was just a double standard, you know, double standard.
At this point, I'd like to bring in John Rockmore with questions and also questions from the viewers as well. Mr. Rockmore, I know you have 1,000 questions for Brother Trey Elliot. Go ahead, John.
Well, Mr. Lionel, you had said that it's beyond us, not beyond me. See, I think that when you moved to California, at the end of the day, it hurt her because she lost. You know, there was something that she lost there because you were there at every turn. And so that made you the enemy, because here's a man that's doing everything. Because I'm sitting there listening to your story. I'm like, man, every single step you did correctly, all the way to the stepfather, every single step correctly like a man should. And yet you couldn't get no love. And it came, it's number one, when you left, all those things that you used to do that was convenient for her, they kind of left too. And then, and I'm probably speaking out of line, there's a girlfriend here. You know what, girl? He went out there to California. You know, he making money out there. You need to go get yours. Not bashingly, I'm saying that that's what girlfriends kind of do. They say, well, he went out there to California. You know, he out there making money because apparently, and you're from Maryland, and on that East Coast, when you say California, they think that money just falls out of the sky. And you just making all kinds of money and stuff like that. So I would say, what do you think about that? To make it into a question, is that something that perhaps could be the thought process?
Well, you know, it was definitely people in her ear, I'm sure. The first thing is, I mean, she has a whole lot of aunts. And some of her aunts was going through some things, and you know, men bashing. So it was so definitely she, you know, it was people in her ear. But the ironic thing, her family knew because I was there. I was there forever. All the holidays and everything, like I was there for so long. So the family really knew I was a good dude. But at the end of the day, at this point in time,
it didn't matter.
Is it like, do they want to go against their daughter or their niece or their blood? And for me, to them, it looked like I just got up and just left to move to California to chase this far-fetched dream. Right. You know what I mean? And I just left my responsibility. So they didn't really want to acknowledge, but there was definitely people I'm sure, in her ear. And she definitely painted some negative pictures of myself. I know she did to some people, just to make herself feel better at that time.
Well, for sure. And I'm sure that even the stepfather, and he may be an okay guy, but at the end of the day, he only has one story. Mm-hmm. And you weren't allowed to tell any other story. And that's why you could never go and say, have a little talk with him and say, hey, listen, brother, you're around my son. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to talk to you. And if there is an issue, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And the only reason I'm going to say I don't think he's an all right guy, and he might be, but he didn't present that to me, is because he had a second opportunity. I didn't even get to when my son graduated.
Oh, that's a whole second opportunity.
So dealing with all that, finally, everybody knew this day was going to come.
Okay.
Graduation.
And Trey, you hadn't talked to him since that phone call.
Haven't talked to him, seen him, anything.
Wow. No. Okay.
Graduation is.
Are they married now at graduation?
They're married now with 2 kids at this point.
Oh, so they have additional kids. So he got siblings now. Okay. He got
young siblings at this point.
Okay.
Graduation comes around. My family is there. Her family is there. This is my first time seeing her in years, and all I got is drama, screenshots of text messages just in case. Oh, I didn't tell you when I called them. Oh, I'm calling the cops. You stole, like, it was all she gave.
Wait a minute, what happened?
When I called him and she found out, she threatened me for days. Messages. I'm calling the cops. You violated. I'm taking you to court. You're gonna never see your child. It was crazy when she found out that I called him. You know what I mean? To talk. And I realized
violated what?
Nothing. She just didn't want him to hear my side of the story. And I wasn't even calling to share any story. I'm calling just to make sure we on one accord. So this is kind of how, as men, and I would have played it differently. As a man, I would have been like, look, brother, yeah, she be talking smack, but come on, let's just have this conversation, and man to man, we'll figure it out.
Right.
So that's why I kind of don't respect him, because he wasn't a man. He didn't know how to play a man's part. And now that he got kids, and if he's ever in that position, he probably would go back and be like, damn, I did that brother wrong. You know what I mean? Because you got to think, EL, I'm on TV and stuff, and they know that, they seeing it, and that's probably making them mad and a little hating and stuff like that, because my son watching me and putting it on DVR and all this stuff like that. So graduation.
Jealousy comes into play when that happens.
Yes.
So what happened?
So graduation come around. After the graduation, we all outside. I see the stepfather with his kids, and I go to him. How you doing, man? I'm Trey, Bryce's dad. How you doing, man? What's going on? Real dry. I said, okay. So, but my son's mother is cool. She's very cool. I guess she's just like, she's very cool. And now I know we having this graduation party, so I'm paying for it and doing all, so we handling stuff. So as we're walking and with each other, handling business, he's there with her, but he's not saying nothing to me. So,
nothing.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. I'm like, his energy is just weird. So me and my son's mother, we getting along, talking, making sure all the business stuff is handled. And this is, out of the whole thing, this is what hurt my feelings the most, and I almost broke down. So a few things. We had his party at Dave & Buster's. So one of her aunts went up to her and was like, girl, you did it. He graduated. You did it. And I'm standing right there. I'm like, you?
Wow.
No. we did it. But you did it, girl. You did it. I said, wow, that was hurtful. But then this is what really got me. She did a slideshow presentation for his graduation.
Okay.
Pictures and stuff. She did not have not one photo
of his father.
And out of everything, that hurt me the most.
So there's a slideshow with the stepfather in it?
I don't even know if the stepfather was in it, but I wasn't in it.
Okay. So you're seeing a slideshow of all his accomplishments.
Yeah, from time he was baby all the way up to graduation.
Father absent.
And my family is there, her family is there, the family is, everybody cool, because there's no beef between the family. Everybody cool, people, his friends, parents who knew me. Oh, Trey, you in Hollywood, all of this stuff at the graduation party. They looked at the slideshow, not one picture of me, and not one picture of me and him. That hurt me the most. And even some of my family and some of my friends was like, that's messed up.
How did all of this affect your son as well? If it hurt you, how did all of the wrong that they were doing to cause problems with you, and you were just trying to be a good father, how did it take a toll on your son?
I think the fact that to this day, I don't think they have the best relationship, him and the stepfather, because my son was very smart. So he knew, and we talked, and he would be like, they try to say you ain't there, you don't do nothing, but I know that's not the truth. Like my son was very smart, but I felt like he was a little, rebellious against him, but I understood why, because he knew the energy that he was putting towards me. But because I just had open communication with him, and he would come out here and visit and chill for weeks at a time, and we would just talk. I would just have that open communication. He was able just to mentally keep it as together as he possibly could. But he knew it was some bull going on, because we talked about it. He was like, yeah, they try to say you're not there, you don't do nothing, but I know that ain't the case. You moved here when I was 10. So, I mean, like, you've done so much. So he knew that wasn't the case, man. So he was mentally strong. It may have affected him, at times, but I just made sure I kept that open communication with him. So he knew that dad was here, and knew that dad, didn't go anywhere. And by the time that slideshow was over and that party was over, now I had a few drinks by that time, I approached the stepfather at that time. I was like, look, man.
Again, your second time.
I said, listen, I said, we need to talk. I said, you've been walking around here acting weird and not speaking and not talking. Like, I've been trying to have this conversation with you. Why you want to have a conversation with me? You ain't never been around. I ain't never been around. And that's when the jersey was about to come out. And so his mom kept making sure, walking and trying to see what was going on. And I at this point, I was upset. If it wasn't for the graduation and stuff, I probably would have tried to get physical. But I couldn't take it there. My mom and everybody was there. So, but it was
inappropriate time.
Yeah, it was very emotional for me. The graduation itself was emotional, and then the slideshow, me not being in it, was emotional, and so I was just emotional that whole day, and just the different stabs and jabs I was getting. And I was like, why don't nobody want to, just give me my respect or my, on this.
And your propers for being a good father.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But it was a lot of jealousy. He would come to California and, he had this celebrity house, that celebrity house. And it was a lot of jealousy, man, that was going on, and I showed my son so many things that he would never see. And I think a lot of that just stemmed a lot of hate and jealousy.
Well, yeah, you got him around Martin Lawrence, all these people, these great people. Of course, it's going to be jealousy, but that shouldn't affect them recognizing that you love your son and you're an excellent father to your son, as you've been from birth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what changed in her mind. What was it that turned her against you, so that it could help somebody out there if, you know, they understand from the opinion of your perspective of what do you think caused her to change, and what could you have done different, and what could she have done different?
Well, the fact of the matter was that it was a big change, and I acknowledged that it was going to be a big change, not only for her but for myself.
You coming to California?
Yes, I knew the responsibility of him was going to solely be on her on a day-to-day, and
Okay.
I understood that, but you know. But I talked to her about it, and it wasn't that I moved here and she didn't have my number or my address, couldn't get in touch. It was like, hey, I'm just here physically, but whenever you need me, I'm here. Whatever we need, we'll make it work. But I think the fact that it was still love there and she just didn't know how to redirect it.
Oh, you're saying she was still in love with you?
I felt like it was still some love there, and she didn't know how to. She redirected it into negative energy. It was a lot of bitterness, a lot of fact that she felt like I had a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to do, and she didn't have any freedom. And I used to tell her all the time, "Hey, we could switch any day. You're in a beautiful condo. It's times I'm sleeping on the couch or in a studio apartment. You know what I mean? You know, I have an old car. You got that. Like, we could switch. Like, this is not an easy journey.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
right.
I would not want my son to live here and have to go through this struggle that I'm going through. So I made the best decision as a parent for him to be there so he could still be comfortable and do what he needs to do while I'm out here grinding. Because it's not an easy grind.
It's not, and we both know that. Do you think that she possibly was jealous that you had the courage to step out and follow your dream, and she felt like, oh, I'm stuck here while he's following his dream and living the life that he wants to live in Hollywood? You think that?
Most definitely. That played a major part. Major part. This was times where she was like, "You out there, you're not even funny," and then
wow.
it'd be another conversation. Don't forget, I was the first one around when you was telling jokes, helping you out with your jokes. So she would just be emotionally bipolar, just everywhere. You know.
Wow.
One day she the one helping me. The next day, you ain't Kevin Hart. You ain't funny. All this. So it was so many different emotions that she was expressing. But I am happy to say that after graduation, a light must have went off. And from that point, after he graduated, he came, hung with me for almost a month out here, just to, you know, a completely 360-degree difference with her. So today, in 2021, we get along very well now.
Wow.
But I'm like, I needed this when we had to co-parent.
Right.
We have to co-parent now. You know what I mean? And God is good, EL, because there were so many things that I was not in a position to do extra, you know, at that particular time. You know, it wasn't, you know, maybe his a car when he had just turned 16 or this. I was just able to do what I was able to do. But at this time, you know, God has been good. I went and got him a car. I'm able to pay his college tuition. And he's 21. He'll be 21 in April 23rd. I'm sorry, April 24th. He'll be 21. But my son is very responsible, working in college, and I teach him responsibility. So I pay half his college tuition. He pays the other half. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wait a minute. Let me understand this. Are you suggesting that the stepdad isn't kicking in any way?
Dad ain't kicking. I haven't talked to him since that graduation.
Wow.
And
wow.
No one is, and I didn't get no calls or nothing. Hey man, you know what? I'm sorry. Hey man, you're doing great. Nothing. It's like in his mind, nothing. And
wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but it ain't, you know, but forget him. His mom now, you know, is very.
Does your son respect him as a stepdad? And it sounds like your son is well balanced. It sounds like he's well balanced. So does he respect him, or is he like, Dad, I don't want to mess with that dude?
He more so like he don't want to mess with him. I mean, he respect him, but he off of him. He like, he's more so like, he's more so like, man, I'm good on him. Go ahead, John.
I would say that there was a realization for her, because now there's nothing to hold you. And so for her, it's, I better make some peace with this, because he'll be gone, and we'll have nothing to talk about, because this young man is and one of the questions coming in, how has this, because kids, they have what you can see above the surface, and then what's underneath the iceberg down there underneath the water. So with your son, how do you think that seeing these things, how he really feels, down about, with the stepdad and mom, and how they kind of beat you up a little bit, but he knows what he sees. So how do you think that he's feeling inside?
I mean, I know at one point it affected him. Like I said, after graduation, we talked about it, and he was open. He was just like, my mom don't really like you. Roger don't really, got too many words, and the family kind of just, they don't really be vocal, but he sensed it. But he was smart. He understood why though. He understood it was just because I left, and I did it. I did what I wanted to do. Because for so many years I had sacrificed and lived for her, or did what she, what her or her family wanted me to do. So I had went and did what I needed to do that was for my life. So I made a good selfish decision, for the better. And, and he knew they was on bull. He knew it. And which is why he didn't really have the respect for his stepfather. Because he knew, that, hey man, you just mad, my dad doing this, my dad doing that, like you on some bull. So I'm just gonna let it be there. And they would butt heads. They would definitely butt heads. I found that out, that they just wasn't getting along. And part of the reason was because he didn't accept me. And how I grew up, my stepdad and my real dad, my step family and my real family, we all shared holidays together. We all broke bread together.
And that's the way it should be.
I don't know what happened behind closed doors with my mom, but I know for us, face value, we all got along. And I asked my mom as an adult, she said it was very important to me that step family and the real family got along.
That's why you're so well balanced, Trey, and that's why you're a good dude. Did you ever talk to your ex about him and say, what's going on with this guy? And what did she say?
Well, now that and we've been getting along since graduation, 18, 19, for these 2 years now, she, he got some ways, and they, kind of, butt heads themselves at times. And I just never, she just be like, I don't know, they just don't get along. He's very strict in this way, and Bryce, and Bryce is used to this, and I'm just trying to find a middle to keep, but I just think this dude was just a very kind of strict, or had his own views, and it just didn't mesh well with what Bryce was used to and what she was used to. You know what I mean? We did things our way, and you got a man trying to come in and control it and be more controlling. Like, you can't come in and just be controlling. You have to assess the situation and say, okay, these are, some men feel like they're coming in to save the day. Hey, I'm about to come in.
Right, but what is it that he would be saving the day from? You're actually a great father, a great dude. Get along with everybody. I've never seen you, Trey, in a situation that I was like, what is going on with him? Right. You've always been 100.
And EL, man, that's me. There's no front, there's no fake. I'm just always, and even if I don't mess with you, I don't have to act like I don't mess with you. I still speak, I'm so cool, still like it was good, but I always try to live by just being a good person, have a good heart, and And even when people don't reciprocate that back, and I got that from my mother, like, you know, which is why my mother wasn't a confrontational type of woman. And I kind of got that from her, unless I'm a little juiced up. Then I'll get a little. Then you'll see my
might
dad.
Be a little something.
Then you'll see Walter come out of me. That's what that.
Right. But with that being said, it was no reason for your ex to give you any difficulties about parenting your son. Right. And it looks as if she now has come around now that he's grown, because she don't have a hold over you, no more authority
over me. And that's exactly what it is. So now it's like, call me, you know, we can have an hour conversation and talk, but it's because she don't have that hold over me now. And it's just like, you know, and it's sad that it was like that, but I was like, you know, I remember when he was in school and Bryce is not doing good and this, that. I'd be like, look, call him on three-way. Let's all three of us have a conversation, because he's telling me one thing, you telling me another. No, I'm not doing that. Now it's, come on, let's call him on three-way and now it's all I used to want to do. Now he's initiating it. And, you know, I'm like, look, you know, he need a car. Cool. I'm going to fly to Maryland. I'm going to fly just to get, you know, so I can get him a car, you know, so, you know, so I'm doing all these things now. And it's just, she don't have anything to say. You know,
I wouldn't say you're doing all these things now. It seems to me you're doing the same things that you've always been trying to do.
Right.
And I'll go even further and say your son is doing well because he's you. And he was able to adapt. He was able to read the person, and he figured out how to respond. Okay, this is how you're going to be. Then I know what I'm going to be. And that's just it. You understood what you needed to do to get success. You took a chance. And that's usually what happens when you come from the East. People are jealous because you had the courage. Because it takes something to come 3,000 miles away and don't know nobody. You know?
Tell it.
And Evan, he's not far off, because you in Maryland, Chicago just kind of up north a little bit.
Chicago,
so it takes something to come out here from because Jersey, I lived in Jersey, I lived in Swedesboro, New Jersey. I'm from Pennsylvania, I lived in New York. It's tough to come out here.
Yeah, it is. It is.
For sure. So I commend you. I have been a fan. I'm more of a fan. And God bless you for being the man that Evan says you are, and that you've shown us that you are. Thank you so much.
Now, Trey, would you say your relationship with your son, now that he's 21, is actually better because unfortunately his mother is no longer involved in your relationship with him? Now it's just he can be your son and you can be his father, and you don't have to deal with that side?
Yeah. Our relationship is, even, you know, it is so dope, man. I love our relationship. And he, like I said, he'll be 21 April 24th. So I'm taking him to Vegas for his 21st birthday.
Wow.
I got him and his friends a suite, and it's going to be about 20, 25 of us. It's going to be more of my friends than his friends, but everybody that's coming has been an important piece in his life from the time he was a baby until now. So I got about 20, 25 people coming out, and we're going to celebrate his 21st birthday. We're going to bring it in. I told him whatever he wants, I got it. So I'm working hard to make sure I can afford everything. But it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. We have such a dope relationship. We talk damn near every day. And, you know, and like I said, he's like, Dad, okay, my car, my dad, like, I'm just able just to guide him, man. And I always said this, I always wanted to be the first for everything with him. Be there for the first of everything. If you can catch those firsts of everything, then, you know, and God bless, man, I was able to be the first of everything from when he was a kid. And then when I missed those certain times, now, like I said, I'm able to show him certain things, man. Credit, you know, I put them on my credit cards, you know, when I was about to get it, because what I did was I said, no, I'm not going to co-sign for you. I'm going to add you as authorized users on my credit card to raise your credit score. And then I'm going to match what you match for your down payment. You know what I mean? He worked hard. He came up with $2,000. I gave him $2,000. and he got M.E.R his name. You know what I mean? And,
Excellent.
And just, you know, like I said, the whole thing. And when he's good, I hook him up, man. And so he's been a good kid. So we're gonna ball out in Vegas and have a great time. So that's gonna be his first, you know. And
I'm excited. Let me know what dates y'all gonna be there, Trey. If I'm available, I might pop up in Vegas and celebrate with y'all. So
Evan, you can't go. Evan, you can't go.
Evan can't crash the party. I might crash the party.
Hey, you go, man. You can come crash, man.
Because we're gonna have another first, so you have to give Evan the bail money. So we have another first.
Right.
Love it. Y'all, you know, this show goes by really quickly. We're winding down to a close of the show. I'm happy that John Rockmore is back. He's been away for a minute. It's good to see you back, John. And Trey, is there anything that you could say to fathers out there that would help them through the difficult times that you survived? That there were times you didn't mention that I'm sure you probably cried, you probably just tore things up because you were hurting about your son.
Yeah.
Can you give some advice to the fathers, because you're on the other side now? How can they get through that moment?
You know, the first thing I always say, stay prayed up, man. Stay prayed up. Whoever you pray to, stay prayed up. Know that you have rights as a man, you know. So just do your research, you know. Don't feed into the negativity. That's one of the hardest things, you know. You can't fight fire with fire. So always try to be the sensible one. Don't be the emotional one. Be the logical one and the sensible one. And you might feel like it's not working at that time, but I guarantee you it's going to benefit you in the long run. It's a marathon. This is it's not a sprint. You know, a lot of times some of these women and some men, but we're talking about men equal rights. They're bitter, they're very emotional, they're not thinking, they're thinking differently, and they're gonna try to make you want to fight fire with fire. You have to let that go. You gotta be calm, you gotta think logically. And know that we have rights. Even in the courts, we have some rights. But stack some money if you need a good lawyer. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you might need a good lawyer, some good representation. But just, you know, stay prayed up and just, you know, logical. Don't let your emotions get the best of you.
Excellent advice. And tell us about any projects you have coming up, how they can find you. You got a lot of fans out there, Trey. Tell them how they can reach you and what's next for Trey Elliot.
Well, right now I have the comedy Bad Boys that's out on Amazon Prime right now. It's my hour special. I'm doing 30 minutes, and I'm sharing with another one of my brothers in the game, Boogie B. So that's called Comedy Bad Boys. So you can get that on Amazon Prime right now. My comedy album is out, Live from the Ha Ha Cafe. That's out right now on all streaming platforms. And hey, you can also catch me on the rerun of The Price is Right. Your boy won The Price is Right in December.
What did you win?
It aired in December. I won the whole showcase. So I won over $32,000 in prizes. I won a car, a gym set, diamond earrings, a trip to the Grand Canyon, crock pot coffee maker. I won over $32K in prizes, man. I'm the only brother that won the whole Price is Right. So you catch me on a rerun on that.
You know what? That's blessings because you survived that madness and you stayed in excellence and stayed the good man that you are. Congratulations, Trey. I'm proud of you, man. I've always been, you know that. Love what you do. And as well as being a big bro and a colleague, I've always been a fan. So thank you for coming on the show, man. John Rockmore, tell the people where they can see you and what you got going on.
You can always go to rockmoreentertainment.com, the Rockmore Entertainment Group. We have concerts that will be coming up. We got what is it called? I'm sorry. A World United Music Festival coming up. That's going to be all the way around the world. That's coming up in August. Hopefully we'll have some people that can come into the studios as well as do it live stream. But I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you love what you see by Mr. Evan Lionel, and the dynamic guests that we have. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel because we are trying to do it right here. I thank you so much, Mr. Trey Elliot. Again, crazy fan. You didn't mention none of your stuff. You didn't mention your Instagram or your Twitter. None of those things.
IG, Instagram, comedian Trey Elliot. That's comedian TREYELLIOT. Facebook Trey Elliot. So everything is Trey Elliot. So yes.
And with that said, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us. My name is Evan Lionel. You can hit me at Evan Lionel on IG, at Evan Lionel 2898, Evan Lionel on Facebook. This is Men's Equal Rights, M.E.R. We thank you for joining, and to any fathers out there, keep your head up. Any mothers that's being kept away from your children, keep your head up. Help is on the way. We appreciate you. And to my kids, I love you. You have never been fatherless. Your father is right here. We'll see you next Sunday on M.E.R, Men's Equal Rights, at the same time. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. God bless you all. Thank you.